Good evening, good evening. We have returned with another psychedelic music sound design live stream. This delicious groove, made by Charlie Bartlett, one of my Altera brothers, is what we'll be working on today. My Altera brothers. Hello to Altera Project. Wait, that's me. I'm guessing that is Charlie under the name Altera Project. Just for those who don't know, me and my friends Charlie and Dane together are our Altera Project. And this is an Altera Project tune that Charlie has started, and now me and Dane will be making additional sounds for. I was wrong. Altera Project is Dane. Welcome, Dane. How are the levels? Let me know if anything's not working right. But yeah, as you can tell, this is basically what I've got here is a really nice groove. Not much sounds going on over the top of it, although there's bits and bobs. But it could do with filling out a bit with some more sound design. Although there are some real tasty bits of sound design in there. Yeah, well, I've got a sidechain compressor on the music output so that it ducks under my voice. I put the ratio quite high though, so let me know if it's too severe. Just turn down the voice output just by a dB or so. See if that makes it any better. Oh, by the way, I noticed, I don't think Charlie's on here yet, but I did notice in this bounce that Charlie's given me, all the crashes are just very slightly out of sync with the downbeats. So it's the first time I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm just ironing out some technical issues. I haven't got the chat up on screen at the moment. I forgot to sort that out in time. But we're all on YouTube today, so, and I've enabled live chat replay, so hopefully people replaying this video will be able to tell what people are saying in the chat. Cool. Right, so we're back streaming. Yes, amazing. I've been away for a year doing a sound design masters. It's been amazing. I've learnt so much, collected an insane library of recorded sounds. And yeah, we are back. As promised, I did promise a lot of people I'd be back in September, a little bit late. Sorry about that. And we've picked up quite a few new followers as well in that time when I've been away, which is quite nice to see the channel just passively picking up some followers. That's really cool. Hello, Charlie. Yo to you as well. We have the 3 old Terrans here who will be working on this track. Yeah, part of the reason I've been late back to streaming is because I've been trying to sort out getting Bitwee running on Linux, which is going quite well. I've got it running, and what I don't have is my VST library working yet. I need to do some trickery with Wine and Windows wrappers to get that working, but hopefully eventually that'll be up and running, and I can switch over to Linux for my music production, because I am sick of Windows 11 and its useless bloat. Things taking up RAM that I never use and cannot disable. Pointless AI features. Pointless tracking. And I'm done with it. So eventually I would like to move over to Linux, but that is an ongoing project. So for now, we are using Ableton on Windows. Right, so let's just crack on with some sound design. I think, so in preparation for this stream, I went through my sample library and brought up a bunch of audio files I thought might be fun to play with. There's plenty of space in this track for me to kind of go ham with a bit of sound design. So I'm just going to start going through these and trying to start fitting them into the track, try and fill out the soundscape a bit more, try create some unique vibes. Let's see what happens there. So the first recording that I've got is this binaural recording of a babbling brook I recorded in Glen Affric in Scotland, which is one of the last remaining remnants of ancient Caledonian forests. And I've got some real tasty in-ear binaurals now, which I used to record this. So let's have a little listen and see what it's sounding like. You can hear there, right at the beginning here, the crash cymbal, when I hit play, is just slightly after it, which is not ideal, but we'll just have to live with it for now, because this is a full bounce. So yeah, this Babbling Brook binaural recording, you can see binaural just means that the left and right are separated. So it was recorded with in-ear microphones that I had actually in my ears. So it also recorded the kind of properties of sound as it travels round my head and recreates with extra immersion what it would be like to listen to this in real time if you listen to this recording back on headphones, because it only works if you have if your left and right ears, what's playing in your left and right ears is completely separated. If you were to listen to them back on stereo speakers, you wouldn't get the full binaural effect, but it would still sound pretty cool, I think, because they're nice microphones. And you can see here I've got left and right, and I've panned them all the way left and all the way right. So just to let you know, so it's not behind me yet, all the way left and all the way right. So this is a very cool recording. I think it sounds nice in the context of this track, but I don't want it to just be so constant. What I want it to do is have some movement, so that it supports the general energy flow of what's going on in the track. So I'm going to treat this as just one recording now. These 2 recordings I want to just treat as one. So I've grouped it, and I will be using the group to apply effects and whatnot to this. So I'm going to start with an EQ. And let's see what's going on here. It's got some unwanted sub. And to be honest, I don't think we need a lot of this lower mid stuff either, so I might cut it off quite high. And what my idea was as well was to kind of filter, treat this as a kind of 8-bar phrase. So let me just put a little locator in there so you can see what points we are working between. So something like this would be an 8-bar phrase. And what I want is to kind of accentuate the journey and accentuate the downbeat at the beginning of the 8-bar phrase, and then build it back up towards the end of the phrase so that it kind of lulls a bit in the middle. And to do this, I'm going to automate the frequency on this. Yeah, so let's see what happens. So it hasn't picked up. What I need to do in order to get it to bring up the frequency here is just wiggle this a bit. And as you can see there, this has changed to the band 2 frequency now. So what I'm going to do is this kind of shape. And what hopefully this will do is roll off the higher frequencies towards the middle and then bring them back in towards the end of the phrase. It's all right. I think I want to maybe bring out a few of the, take out a few more of these kind of MIDI frequencies. You can see here, there's a kind of break on this last beat. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try and accentuate that break with this sound as well. So I'm just going to take out that last beat, and hopefully together with the break in the original track that I was sent, with the break in this will create, yeah, just a nice little mini drop out there. Sound will work very well over the final breakdown, says Charlie, says Dane, and he's probably correct. But I think we can probably, the final breakdown is quite a way away. So I think we can probably reuse it. But also I've got a bunch of other tracks, a bunch of other sounds which I have thought might be quite cool under that as well. So what I will do is maybe do a copy, and then we can see here, it breaks down here. So I'm just going to paste them there, and we've got those to use later on. That was a good idea, Dane, from the chat. Also, I think this coming back in here, is this going to work? Let's listen from here. I think it works quite well in this section here, but then I need to work out whether I want to drop it out in the next section. Yeah, but I think we want it during the breakdown. So what I want to do, I think, is filter it in during this section before the breakdown, so that it doesn't become too much, you know. If it sound like this, it'd be easy to overuse it. It'll lose its impact and its uniqueness. So on this section before the breakdown, I want to, I think, kind of filter it in. And maybe even like do something like this. Fade it in at the same time. It might be a case of doing a little break just before this, same as we did with the last section. Hang on a sec. That was a really lovely little sound. Oh, no. Yeah. You guys have spotted it already, Charlie. The little delayed kind of watery sound that you've already got going on works really well in combo with this, for sure. And I think I'll do the same thing in that I'll filter it in and out over the course of the section. And then I think when the bass drops, I want to cut it out. That'll be the end. Because otherwise it'll be too much. I think when the bass drops, we want it to be a bit more down and dirty, a bit more techy. So I'll drop it out for there. And I think even for this, to create even more kind of a build-up before the drop of the bass, I'm gonna filter out these lower frequencies a little bit as well. What I'd like to do, also, I'm not sure you can do this with a low cut, is, yeah. Unfortunately, we can't increase the Q on this one. See what it sounds like this anyway. Very nice. Cool, so this section sounded very good. The first 4 bars or so, I think it's pretty good. I think from here onwards, we want to start bringing in a few more sounds. And one of the sounds that I actually was pretty excited about when I just plopped it over earlier was these watery sounds that I recorded in the bath, in a bathroom. So they've got this really unique kind of like reverb thing going on with them, and this like sense of like closed space, which I thought sounded pretty cool. Give it a listen. Again, sticking with the kind of water theme for the track, which seems to be emerging. Some of my voice in there as well. Oh, some of these sounds are sounding absolutely sick in conjunction with the sounds that are already there. Just a case of locating the little bits that work and getting rid of the bits that don't. And that first bit works incredibly well. Huh. I kind of like all that bit. Okay. Need to make sure I don't overuse this, so I need to keep going back to the beginning and making sure the flow is right. I don't think these bits will work in here. A bit too splashy. This bit just on the beat is very nice. And this could be cool, but it's too quiet to tell at the moment, so I'll turn it up. No, don't like it. But this little bit. So there's this little delay thing that Charlie's got going on during this bit. Well, let's just increase the working space a bit. So if I turn this off, we'll be able to hear it. Which works kind of cool in conjunction with... But they kind of clash a little bit at the same time, so I try and just... I think it's here that it happens. So if I get rid of these new watery sounds during that, hopefully they'll flow. What I'm actually saying here. Don't know what I'm on about. Just in case it's something, I'll get rid of it. Turn this up, see if I can hear it a bit better. Huh. It's incredible, you know. That's like a nothing sound, you know. I was trying to record the watery bath sounds. This is just a little accidental sound of me knocking something. But in conjunction, in the context of the track, it sounds like it's just perfectly placed percussion. Like that one hit just there. Even though, again, it's just kind of an accidental sound. It's a little bit... So, as well as this track that he sent me, which has a very cool groove, he sent me a groove file to load into Ableton, which I have here in the groove pool. And it is this reggae swing thing here. So what that means is this is very cool, this sound, and it also hits pretty much exactly on the offbeat. But that's not in groove with the rest of the track because of the swing in the track. It makes this this sound, which is kind of quantized to the grid, not in time with the rest of the track. So what we have to do is apply the groove apply the groove that Charlie used to make the original beat to this audio file, which we can do because he's exported the groove and sent me. And what the groove is basically, it just like records the timings of the beats and how they work with each other, and then you can map that timing onto a new audio file. So what I've done is I've hit warp on this audio file because otherwise it won't work. And then here in the little groove, bottom left, I'm going to select Charlie's groove, and then hopefully this will now be in time. It's not really worked, unfortunately. Might work better if I just do it manually. Yeah, that works a bit better. Oh well, I was trying to do it fancy. Sometimes the simple way is the best way to do things. Come on, mouse. There's a little cool, can you hear it? Like the kind of rhythm. Which only really works if you have these two little random hits, which sound like nothing in the audio file, but play off really well what's already there. Okay, do you know what? There's actually tons of really good stuff here. I think we're in danger of overusing it. But because the sound is so cool, I'm actually going to create a new track and send this down some like effects chains and stuff and see if we can't create something pretty interesting. Because this stuff kind of works really well. I'm going to use Infiltrator, I think, for this. Devious Machines plugin. Oh, and by the way, there's a new expansion out for Infiltrator called Psychedelic Evolutions, I believe. And I've done 15 presets in that expansion pack under the name Altera Project. There's a bunch of other artists like Azure, Oud, Das Glitch, who's another YouTuber. Really incredible effects bank for sure. You can buy that from the Devious Machines website. But for now, let's create something from scratch. So there's a lot of real cool effects in this. What might sound good with watery sounds is things like stretch. And those who've watched my channels before know that I love to randomize stuff. And that is what I'll be doing here. Go to max, get the LFOI. Because the LFOI, as opposed to the generic max LFO that you get has a bunch of extra randomization options. Not that we'll need it, I think. Haha, yeah. Got some like granularity going on here. It sounded pretty cool. Let's see what else we can get in there. The comb filter is also often pretty cool. Let's see what happens if we do this. We'll randomize that as well. Often you want the comb filter to cycle through a bit slower than the others, because otherwise it just becomes kind of quite noisy. Whereas if you filter the comb filter slowly, you'll get these kind of weird resonance things going on, which is kind of what I'm after. Kind of sounds we're making. Sounds pretty sick, if you ask me. Oh, what I think I also want to do is just add in like a compressor, so to bring these all out a bit more. I can also add a bit of drive here. Just a little bit, compress it a little bit here as well. So instead of just having one big fat compressor, we've got a little two kind of just having a bit of a tickle. Yeah. What I also want to do, I think, just as a precaution, is just EQ out the sub. Make sure it still sounds really fat. Because I have a problem sometimes is you make what you think is a really cool sound, and then you go to EQ out the sub and you realise it was the sub that was making it sound really cool and the rest of it doesn't sound that good. But actually in this case, I think across the spectrum this sound is sounding pretty gnarly. But as a general rule, when you're making bass music, to make the bass and kick as clear as possible, you want to EQ out the low end from everything that isn't your kick and your bass. And that leaves your sub frequencies free to just deliver the kick and the bass, and it makes them a lot clearer and a lot punchier. So as a general rule, anything that isn't kick and bass, EQ out the sub. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record this to a new track because it's randomized. So what I want it is to just be, if I record it to audio, then I can just work with the audio. It'll be the same every time. I can be a lot more accurate with it than if it's just being randomized all the time. So that's what I'm going to do. got a bit quiet in this section. I'm sure there'll be some good bits in there once we turn it up. Some of those dialogue bits sound really cool through the effects. I don't really want to be able to have any like discernible words in it, but having something that sounds like someone talking, but just like really garbled, that can be good stuff. Trippy, says Dane. Indeed. But what are we doing if not trippy stuff? Cool. So that effects chain was pretty cool. I don't think I'm finished with this this bath sound though. I want to try one more effects chain, I think, before we move on to other stuff. So let's try an infiltrator, just swapping out some of these plugins. I want to try maybe rotate. This is like FFT effects, so which stands for fast Fourier transformation, something I've been learning about over the last year in my masters. So something like pole stretch, which you might have used, which has time stretching algorithms. They chop up the audio file that you're stretching into grains, and then kind of fade these grains in and out over each other. And this is what's known as a fast Fourier transformation. And these kind of effects with an infiltrator on this page, this spectral section here, these are all FFT based effects, and they can be kind of quite random. The first version of Infiltrator it does warn you that these are a bit sketchy, basically, but in a good way. You know, it sounds like it totally breaks the sound sometimes, and that can often be quite good. What should we change this comb filter to? Let us try the... Let's try the ring mod. Boom! Yeah, I love it. Wow, okay. That's pretty awesome. Let me just... Oh, we had the other one on at the same time. So let me just check this is still cool without the other audio. Not as cool as I thought. It was actually the last audio file that we recorded that I was reacting to there, rather than this new one, because the new one doesn't really sound that good. I'm going to swap these effects out again. I suspect it might be the ring modulator that's kind of making it sound tinny and weak. All this drippy stuff, try the Ableton vocoder, says Dane. That is a real good idea, because the vocoder in Ableton often like drags the frequency spectrum down into this like low mid range, gives it this warmth and this kind of wateriness sometimes, which might fit with the wateriness of the effect that we're using. I'm going to just change this ring mod out though. What I'm going to try is maybe the FM. Okay. Very cool, but it's all like this kind of like high-end, kind of noisy kind of stuff. I am going to try putting that through the vocoder, and hopefully that will bring the spectrum down a fair bit. So we're going to go to modulator. Am I? Pitch tracking. not really getting much through. The thing with this vocoder is it's quite hard to actually make it do the thing that I want to do a lot of the time. Try bypassing the infiltrator, see what happens. So yeah, we ain't getting much through really. Ah, there we go. That's what we want. Okay. So I think what's coming in from the infiltrator is not really hitting it properly. So I'm going to just switch out the effects again. Maybe go for like vocoder. Instead of this frequency modulation, I'm going to go for a looper. But I think if I'm going to do that, I also want to randomize this tempo as well as the speed. Easily done. Just create another LFO. Map it to that. I actually do not want this to go down too low. Yeah, that's a bit more what I'm after. These things are pretty cool now. Infiltrator is still on. Yeah, I want it to be on now. Now that I've switched the effects off, we've got better effects, better frequency range going into the vocoder, which is triggering the vocoder better and creating a more rich kind of sound. But even then, you know, maybe I want to put some after the vocoder as well, because this is all kind of staying in the same kind of range. Whereas maybe if I have something else, it's like a modulator. Whoa, some of these sounds coming out of this are great though. Maybe use the pitch monster after this, which is another Devious Machines kind of thing. Not sure, you know. It's quite a unique sound, but it's not quite right yet. Actually, I wonder if maybe... Copy and paste this infiltrator after as well. Doesn't sound particularly good. But if I turned this vocoder off here, there it is. Then use the formant filter after. Which sounds pretty epic now. Okay, yeah. I gotta watch out here because I'm using a lot of these LFOs and I'm going to start running out of processing power if I'm not careful. So I've just hit a save. Apologies if my project crashes. It could well happen. But I think this will be a pretty cool effect once we've done it. Okay. Okay, problem is now you can hear the filters way too much. I might be about to crash, to be honest. Oh, it has got way too many LFOs going on. Those Max for Live LFOs really eat processing power. Why it's done this, I've got no idea. It really is not having fun at the moment. I may have to Control-Alt-Delete this thing and quit Ableton because it currently ain't doing it. Okay, so first things first is delete some of those LFOs when I get loaded back into the project, if indeed it allows me to open the project at all. In the meantime, we get to look at the nice penguins that Windows has provided for us today. The Gremlins won. I let them win, to be honest. I could have just waited for it to load, but I don't think that just waiting for Infiltrator to sort itself out is engaging content. Possibly not as engaging as these two penguins here, anyway. Okay, so... Right, so that was a bad idea. I'm going to start again because I think this was... without those last LFOs, I don't think this was really going anywhere. I'll tell you what, I'll just put the vocoder before. Okay, pretty cool. All these little kind of like granular kind of glitch effects and stuff, but a lot of them are quite out of tune. So that gives me an opportunity to have a go with Ableton's new auto tune effect, and I can't remember what it's called. Auto shift, I believe. It's pretty cool. So the key that we are in is F. Just going to use, like, I guess maybe the F pentatonic with added second. Kind of want to like, you can hear some of them and then other ones are just getting lost in the mix, so like I just want to like crush the hell out of this. I mean, it's a kind of like gnarly sound design thing, so I don't really need to worry too much about over compression. I can just go ham on it, I think. Cool. Yeah, it's a pretty messy, but I think bits of that will be very usable. So, and especially in conjunction with this other previous one that we recorded, if I just play them both together. Yeah, very messy. But I think with some careful editing, that'll be a very nice sound to use. So I'm just going to bounce that to audio and see what comes out. Ooh. I like that. After this, I'm going to move on to the next recording because I'm getting a bit sick of these bath sounds. Cool. There were some very nice bits in there. We'll need some careful editing, but that's not what I'm doing right now. Right now I'm just doing pure sound design, generating as many cool sounds as possible to give me, to kind of create a palette with which I can then use to construct the track later on. I think Mr. Bill calls these like mud pies. It's just like bouncing out a bunch of stuff. There'll be cool sounds contained within it, along with a load of useless crap. And then when we go to edit it later on, we will sort the useless crap from the tasty sounds. Cool. So, what are the other ones I thought was most cool when I was doing earlier? So we got this sound I recorded in my apartment when I was in Manchester. And it was like my next door neighbour on like a Sunday morning started doing a bunch of like drilling next door. So I recorded the drilling through the wall, and it sounded real real cool. Of course, we want to turn these off. We just want this drill sound. Now you'll notice that it's in tune with the track, and that is because I couldn't help myself. Oh no, wait, it is perfectly in tune with the track. I didn't have to pitch shift it at all, which is incredibly coincidental if you ask me. Look, I haven't pitch shifted it at all. And it just is in tune. And it sounds incredibly cool. But what I think this could do with is like some big reverbs. So you have this big like, and then it rings out. So what I'll want is, I haven't actually laid down a decent reverb in this project yet. Delete the stock one that they give you, which is pretty good. But I am going to use probably Realm. Before I forget as well, let me just go to this bath and just like delete all, like, just like delete these effects, otherwise I'll be eating up a bunch of, or maybe just turn them off, otherwise I'll be eating up a bunch of processing power that I might run out of eventually. Cool, so I want to send this drill sound. I'm going to send it to my send number 1, which is where I put my reverb. I'm going to put it all the way up just so we can hear what this reverb sounds like. Not quite what I wanted. I'm going to EQ out the bottom end of this reverb. I usually cut reverbs off quite severely, around 400, 500 or so. See, I actually wonder about putting the reverb straight on the channel. And just having, because at the moment you've got the original sound playing from the track, and it's being sent to send number 1. So we've got the original plus the reverb, whereas maybe what I want is just the reverb. So if I was to put this instead on the track that the drill sound is playing off, and not send it to the track instead, but the reverb is at 100%, the mix at 100% mix, so there shouldn't be any of the original coming through. It should just be the reverb. Let's see how that sounds. A little bit on the dirty side. Probably want to EQ, like I said before, EQ out the sub and everything that isn't the bass and the kick. Bring this reverb up a lot. And while there's part of this sound which sounds really cool, not all of it does. I'm just going to try isolate the bits which do actually sound good, which sent through the reverb. Get rid of the rest. Oh yeah, it's sounding pretty epic. So, is this a little drop here? If we look here, here's the drop. You see, we got the breakdown. Have the big herald the incoming of the bass as well. Maybe even just telegraph it a little bit so that it sounds like it hits on the beat. Dane is saying it sounds slightly off key. Interesting. Well, let's just stick an auto shift on it again. Hopefully that'll. And also this second sound, I think the end of it is kind of messy. It doesn't quite hold the note. Let's have this again. Cool, so this has different notes in it, so I only want this to be the root note, I think. So F. That's all really messy. Gross. Don't want that. Whereas some of the bits in here were actually sounding pretty cool. So I'm going to go from here and try and isolate those bits. This bit. Also, I think probably because this is it's got different modes as this round. This airy one is, I don't know, there's this kind of like noisiness to it, which I don't quite want. Let's try the grounded one instead. This here. Oh yeah, that was a tasty one. And then this bit here, it's got this kind of nice raspiness to it. Cool. I think that'll be plenty for what I want to do. Which is just to kind of like keep this kind of every 4 bars thing going. Okay, so now that I've got all the rest of them, I've decided that I don't like this first one. as well as some of the others. I think this one is a better first one. I think the sound could be used occasionally. This is way too big a verb for the drop. For the final drop, we'll need to have a lot of space. Yeah, to be honest, I was thinking of like reducing the reverb time on this a fair bit. I kind of had it up there quite a lot. What about if instead of every 4 bars, we had it every 8? Kind of what I like about it is it's kind of like, it's quite chill. I'll leave it there for now and come back to it, I think. You might be right about it going in the breakdown, or at least like at the end of the sections or something. I don't know. Maybe it could do with like going here at the end of a thing. But I can't quite tell right now. What I want to do is just leave that as is. Because what time are we on? I'd quite like to get round to a bit of synth work in this session as well. But I also wanted to have a go at these squeaky bathroom door samples, because they also sound pretty nice, I thought, or potentially. Although levels need sorting out, obviously. But this first bit here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and see if there's any bits that just sound good as they are. And then afterwards, I'll come back and like stick it through a bunch of effects. See if we can't get some more kind of like crazy sound design things going on. I think this first bit needs just a bit of leveling. Get it so it's kind of doing what I want it to. A lot of resonant bits in this, which are quite harsh, but then the in-betweeny bits can be rhythmically very cool. I know Charlie said that he had enough percussion for this. But it's happening anyway. That needs a reverb, I think. It's sounding very dry and also just a bit long. I think I need a second reverb here that's not quite... Oh, actually, I never used this reverb, did I? I cancelled that send, so I can make this a shorter one. send it to this one specific one. See how that flows. Yeah, nice. This is potentially pretty cool, but it's just not in the right place, that's for sure. Yeah, pretty nice. This little hit here hits kind of with the snare, but maybe it needs to not hit with the snare. I was thinking the sidechain would eventually hide it. So when the snare's in, that should duck everything else when the snare hits. But just in case, I'm just going to roll that off so it doesn't clash with the snare. Actually, this bit sounded pretty cool. It was just way too loud. But if I turn it down, maybe it'll be a bit more effective. I kind of like this middle bit here. It's got the kind of good rhythm to it. Don't like that little squeaky bit. But this bit doesn't really work on its own, you see. Find the right place for it. Oh yeah, that sounded pretty cool. Might need a bit more processing later on. Cool creaking sounds. Don't really fit in with where they are though. Okay, let's get rid of that. Got a few cool sounds there at the beginning. Maybe they can be reused. But I'll move on to this next section. Oh, this was very nice. I don't know what it was. Apparently squeaky bathroom door, but I don't think it is. Some random recording or something. But I like it. Kind of sounds a bit like a Geiger counter or something, which is pretty epic. I always love these little bits which have this kind of like rolling feeling, like a da-da-da-da-da. Hard to know if these bits are suitable or not. They're kind of like, I guess I'll know when I come back to them next session, whether my edits are any good or whether it's all trash and I need to chuck it all away. Dane says that he's going to send me a bounce of the sounds he did for the end for when I do some synth work, which will be nice. Cool. So this is too many sounds too quickly. Just chop the end of this off quick. fact, I'm going to get rid of that sound. Don't like it. Some nice sounds here. Subtle, but nice. I like these. I think I remember now. I made this by I had some like jeans on, and I just kind of like rubbed the jeans tight until they kind of did the creaky, squeaky jeans thing. That's what this sound is. Oh, this one's slightly out of time. This last one, I like the idea, but it just needs to be one of these divisions later, I think, to hit that beat. Maybe the whole thing needs to be just one of them, rather than just that last beat. I think it's just slightly out of time. No. Doesn't quite feel right. I like the idea though. I'll leave it for now. Okay, that's pretty cool. So what I want to do is just like make sure all the tracks that I've edited are playing. All the ones that I haven't edited are not playing. Just do a little bit of organization. Otherwise, things can quickly get away from us. I've got these yet that I bounced, that I put through the synth, but have yet to edit. So these will go just below. And I'm just going to make a few groups, make sure that the ones that I've edited, they can go groups. This was the Babbling Brook. These were a bit kind of longer, so I'll leave them in their own group. This one I'll just change to edited. And then these ones were bounced. I'll definitely be putting all the synths that I bounce out into this group as well. And the rest of them just haven't been edited yet, which is fine. That way I'll be able to hear my progress so far. And then now I'll be heading to a synth, I think. Working over this end section. Guessing Dane has sent me the bits. Oh yeah, there we go. think these sounds that I made here come in a bit too early. I'll need to edit them to be like later in this section. They can live there for now. That's a job for later. Really looking forward to editing this. Pretty messy at the moment though. Cool, so we're going to go to the end section and let's have a listen to what Dane... So Dane has just sent me this, which is fresh sounds that he's just made. So let's have a listen to what they are. I'm going to turn them up so we can hear them loud and clear. Ooh, kind of like melodic paddy sounds. Dane, do you mind if I edit this a bit? Because I love the sounds, but I just think it's a bit too kind of like constant. Okay, so you've got two sounds here. You've got this early kind of melodic element to it, and then later on it becomes this kind of techy thing. Yeah, having them separate would be useful, because that melodic thing would be just like, yeah, I kind of just like want to chop it up, send it to like reverbs here and there, would be my natural instinct. But yeah, kind of hard to say. Oh, these bits need to be muted. Don't want them playing. Right, so I'm just gonna get myself a synth up. No, I'm gonna do that. Instrument track, MIDI track. It's been so long since I've done this, you know. It feels like forever since I've just loaded up a synth over a beat and just go ham. And of course, to remind me who I am and what I do, it will of course be Razor that I use, because I love this synth and it is so good for just kind of squelchy psychedelic nonsense. Why would I not use it all the time? Oh, Dane's just informed me I've got his sound starting a bar late. Right, you are. Let me correct that mistake. Cool. Right, so here we are in Reactor. I've initialized the patch. I've turned on both oscillators. Now, as standard, they're both set to saw, which I'm tempted to use, you know, to saw is the basis of so many psychedelic squelchy sounds. The sawtooth wave has every single harmonic in it, so different ways. So if I was to turn this to like square pulse, as they call it here, that has like every other harmonic, but the sawtooth has every single harmonic in it. And what I've done is I've layered them up one on top of the other, and this color thing just kind of like shifts the frequency balance. So the higher this parameter, the more tilted it'll be towards higher frequencies, and the lower this parameter, the more tilted it would be towards lower frequencies. And I've found with this synth, having both oscillators on, and then this just one tilted a bit high and one tilted a bit low, creates this like very rich sound. And we've got the low pass. Excellent. That's a good starting point. Now, what I'm going to do is set this LFO down here to, oh, can you even see that behind my face? Set this to the random waveform, which is like you've got all these different waveforms in your LFO. This is random step. This is random wave. And I'm going to start with random wave. And then I'm going to go to the cutoff of the filter and I'm going to assign that LFO to it. Now what I need here as a good starting point is like just a single note. That's way too high. We're going to go right down. What are we in F? Hey, that's more what we're after. Oh, I've missed this. I'm going to turn this down quite a bit. You got your standard psychedelic squelch. Always nice to hear, but a little bit basic and uninspired for now. Just going to give it this a little bit. About if you turn a chorus on. Let's give it a bit of stereo juice. Now I'm going to turn off my second filter, and we've got a second LFO going on here. Just see here, down at the bottom, and I'm going to change this to hertz as well. Have it as a different speed from the first one, but change it to random waveform as well. And I'm going to assign this second LFO to the second filter. And because these random LFOs, these are both random LFOs, they will interact in unpredictable ways. You'll have two randomized things interacting with each other, which should produce just endless unique combinations. Obviously, the more random variables you get interacting, the more possibility for unique combinations you find. But for now, this will be fine. And I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use the multi-mode dirty. I quite like this one. Turn the resonance down. Turn the stretch down, because otherwise it will just stretch it right up to the top of the frequency spectrum. Usually want it something like that, so it's kind of in the low mids. Ooh. Some very nice harmonics coming out there. Just going to saturate it a little bit. So I'm actually gonna those overdrives, the saturators were a little bit too obvious for my liking. I just wanted to like just roll off some of the peaks, you know, because when you saturate something, it brings the average volume of the whole thing up, but it reduces the dynamic range. So just some of those peaks that were a bit resonant, I'd quite like the saturator to kind of take some of that harshness off, but I don't want it to be too hardcore. I just want a little bit. Interesting. Again, it's kind of like pretty standard still. Kind of a standard sound that I would have used before. There's nothing wrong with using pretty standard sounds. Often, to make the really unique sounds pop out, you need sounds that are not quite as unique. But I do like this quite a lot. So I'm just going to randomize this centro thing as well. And that, you know, I have used this quite a lot in previous tunes. So I don't want to overdo it on this, but it's a really easy way to start making these kind of squelchy sounds sound a bit more unique. To map that to that. I don't want it to go too high, so you've got the range here on your LFO from 0% to 100%. I actually only want this to go to maybe about 30% max. And we'll randomize that. It's pretty nice. Cool. I'm going to repeat this out for the length of the section. Right, so in an attempt to make this a bit more unique, I'm going to add some additional modulation. I'm thinking something like a flanger or a comb. I think the flanger might be good. Ooh, you know another thing we can do actually? Yeah, okay, we'll stick with this for now. Yeah. Put the saturator after the flanger, make sure those peaks, there's nothing too resonant coming through. Some of these like, they're sounding really nice. I'm going to record that in. Just record that to audio. Then instead of it being randomized, we have full control over it once it is bounced. Oh, hang on, forgot to set the input for this track. So what I'm doing is setting the input from this track to take audio from track 3, which is where I've got the reactor. Easy peasy. Cool. Some nice bits in there. There's one more thing I wanted to do though with this same synth before moving on to something different, and that is I wanted to do some pitch shifting of the waveforms in the oscillators, because that can be pretty excellent. So we've got the pitch there. Right, and I want to use one of these LFOIs again. I need to configure it carefully because I don't want it to go any higher than the pitch it was at. I want it to go down from there and I want it to bend up to the pitch that we were at, and then sometimes stay on that pitch and then bend down again. And you'll see what I mean in a second, hopefully. So the pitch range, I'm going to go from, oh, come on, to 0 to 50%. I'm going to offset it up slightly, so you will see every now and then it kind of stays at the top for a while. So 50% should be the pitch that we were at. So it should be this note that we've got, this MIDI note, is in key. 50% will be at 0 in the middle for the pitch thing here. So you can see it comes up to 0 and then it goes down from there. And hopefully it'll create quite an interesting effect. What I need to do is EQ out the sub again, something that we've done a few times today. Because we don't want those frequencies. Yeah. Hear those pitch shifting up and down. I've always found that pitch down sawtooth going through a flanger creates some amazing effects. Yeah. So again, a lot of chaff, but there'll be some usable bits in there. So I'm going to go ahead and record that to audio. Very cool. Right. So what we've got is a lot of sounds that are kind of slow moving modulation that kind of are quite expansive, not very percussive. So to complement these sounds, I want to make some more sounds now that are quite percussive, that have a rhythm to them, that have transients, so that we've got a nice variety of sounds, so that everything doesn't sound, sound just like the same thing. And to use this, I'm not going to use Reactor. I am going to use Vital, I think, because Vital has some key features that are really good for this. Let's get rid of everything there. Vital's a free synth, by the way, really fantastic. Definitely recommend you getting it. It'll cost you nothing, and it does a lot of very, very cool stuff. So it's initialized here with a sawtooth. I'm using the same tracks I was using for the Razor. So we've got some MIDI in. So we can try out a few waveforms, see if we can find something that's a bit different from a sawtooth, because we used a sawtooth on the last one. So try and use something a bit different, but hopefully something that sounds very cool. That does sound very cool. I got the feeling that I've used that a lot in like other things though. That's pretty cool. I'm going to give it a unison so it kind of widens it out a bit. And I'm going to go into the MIDI effects. Let's see here, sorry, I'm just like. And then I'm going to get the arpeggiator going on. Set it to 16ths, and this will create a bit of rhythm for us now. For some reason, the swing is not working on this. It used to. Oh well. It doesn't matter. I can apply the groove after I've bounced it out. It's pretty annoying though, because it'd be nice to make the sound with the groove applied. No matter. Pretty annoying though. Oh well. I don't know why that's not working. That always used to work fine. Cool. So we can do some pretty interesting things now. We got some. Now we got some consecutive notes going on. Like for instance, this random will give you a different value every time a note is played. So now that's like every note will randomize the filter there. Pretty cool. Still pretty basic though. This is like a basic effect you hear a lot in psychedelic music. Be nice to kind of switch this up a bit. I'm going to bring in a second oscillator, I think, and send it to the filter as well. See if we can find a second interesting waveform, eh? There isn't. There isn't a sawtooth. Ooh, nice. Like that a lot. Cool. Another great thing about Vital is you've got these randomizers. So we can randomize the wavetables to create a bit of extra movement, see what that does for us. And also we can use separate randomizers for the separate wavetables. So again, they interact in unpredictable ways. We could also as well use this to do a bit of frequency modulation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the FM from oscillator 1, use it on oscillator 2. Stuff like that. Don't really like the sound of that too much. What about if we did it the other way around? Ooh, like that. Like that a bit better. What I think I might do as well is turn the envelope down a bit. Ooh, what I might actually do is randomize the sustain. So some of them are staccato, other ones are a bit more other ones are a bit more kind of sustained. Just adds a bit more kind of like movement. And also, of course, we want to randomize this frequency modulation and dial in the range. Some of these waveform effects, which can be quite cool. Ah, there we go. Cool. Let's hear this in the context, see what it sounds like. Dane had the same idea. Use the randomizer to decay. Yeah. I actually used it on the sustain. Decay might be a good idea, actually. Use the LFO on this phase disperse, see what happens. Not sure about this FM, you know. I think it's a bit too hardcore for this section. Going for a bit more of a kind of chilled vibe. Just get rid of that and turn up the second oscillator. Ooh, I kind of like that. Could easily get annoying if overused, but used sparingly, I think could be very cool. Cool, let's see if we can improve this with some effects, eh? That did not improve it. really like this. I'm going to put the distortion after the phaser because the phaser can create these weird single frequency peaks sometimes. So the distortion hopefully will just roll that off a little bit. Not sure about this harmonic stretching now that I've listened to it a bit. But is that just me? You see, is that me just having listened to it too much? I did say it'd easily get annoying. Don't know. Let's try it. I'm going to apply an extra LFO to this. Something to just shorten. That's quite cool. Do you know what? It's just a little bit static. I'm going to use the Ableton beat repeat to just give it some extra rhythmic juice. Which is cool, but the problem with the beat repeat is that anything it repeats is then kind of quite static. For the duration of the repeat, it's just the same thing repeated. So having some effects like after that can really add a bit more kind of movement to it. Maybe just chuck on a glitch too after, just to really spice things up a lot. What I love about glitch 2, if you've been on this channel before, you probably know, you can randomize the entire plugin with just the click of a few buttons, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's just kind of glitchy nonsense. Most of it will be unusable. Some of it will be usable, but I'm kind of bored of this train of thought now. So I'm just going to record it and then move on, I think. Oh, actually, we're pretty much at 8. This will be the last thing I bounce out. We've got a lot of mud pies left for next session to edit down. Or maybe I'll edit them down before next session. I'm not like... What I wanted to do with this channel is show people like my whole process, because that's what people said they wanted, you know. The entire production process from start to finish, the full workflow, rather than just tricks and tips. which can be hard to know what to do with sometimes for people. But at the same time, just sitting and editing for hours on end can be a bit boring. I'm not sure it's great content. So I might do some of the editing before next session, just so it's not quite as tedious. Let me know what you think though. Let me know if you want to see the full edit process, or whether you'd rather I did some of that in my own time. And then we just did more like this, you know, more kind of like explorative sound design in the actual streaming sessions. I don't really know what would be more beneficial to people, but let me know. This has been a fun session though, guys. We've got plenty of sounds here that are great. We got some sounds that I took, some recorded sounds that I took from my library that we've kind of edited in, put some through some effects chains, created some excellent mud pies with which we have plenty to play with to actually write the tune, because this isn't really writing the tune, this is just generating a palette of sounds. Like the next step is where the actual tune writing comes in, where you put it all together, you edit these different diverse sounds down into a coherent journey. That's where the real meat of the writing comes together, where you can really like express your musical vision. Like for this kind that I treat more as just kind of like creating a substrate, you know, you're creating just a range, just a bunch of stuff with which to then actually craft a tune out of later on. So look at all these stuff we've got to edit down. This will take quite a while, so I might do, before the next session, I might do one pass through of these, just cut out all the crappy bits, keep all the bits I think might be good, and then in the next session we can really get into arranging them around each other into little kind of coherent journeys through different parts. But thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Cheers to Dane and Charlie, who've been here kind of giving me tips and trips. Also, Dane did send me these other sounds, but in the next session when it comes, this will be like editing these in around the sounds that I've created today is more of a different process than the generating the sounds. I like to structure my time so that I generate a bunch of sounds and then I've got just tons of stuff to work with for editing, which will be the next step. But you know, we've done 2 hours. I think that's a good start for my first stream back in over a year. Like and subscribe if you like the music that I've been making, if you found it beneficial in any way, if you like chilling out with me here in the studio, and yeah, whatever you, if you've liked it, like and subscribe. If you haven't liked it, dislike and tell me I'm rubbish. It's all good. Thank you very much, and I will catch you next time.